Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fred Chavez, aka Doug Reynolds. Thank you for all coming. Thank you for that roaring applause. I want to welcome you to this year's State of the City. We thank you for all coming. I just like to remind you that we have light snacks and some drinks in the back. Don't hesitate to eat and enjoy yourself. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce our mayor, Mr. Dan Yancey.
Well, good evening. Everybody hear me? You know, following Doug Reynolds or Joe Burns is a hard act to do, but I'm going to give it a try. Welcome to the 2024 State of the City of Copperas Cove. I consider it a great honor to be the mayor and past city council member of our great city. Today, I have the privilege of sharing what our city has accomplished in the last year and why these accomplishments are important to us, the residents, businesses, visitors, and customers. But before we go any further, I would like to say happy 145th birthday, because Doug, you were a little quick on it, okay? Because in 3 weeks, the city will celebrate 145 years since being founded as a city in 1879. Okay, Doug, now you can do it. Okay. We have accomplished many projects over the last year. The question arises, why do we need all these projects? Because our city has grown. Let me say that again. Because our city has grown. Yes. Population has changed from 38,211 to 39,627 in the last year, a growth of almost 4%. In the past 2 months, the city has issued 84 new residential dwelling permits. At this pace, the city will quickly surpass a population of over 40,000. You can monitor the residential developments through the residential tracking tool on the city's website. Many have said, do we have enough water for this population increase? Is crime going to increase? Will I maintain the services that I receive with all these new people? We'll discuss these questions through the State of the City in our town hall. Before we get into some of the accomplishments related to population increases, you should know City Council and staff are working to address population impacts in a proactive manner, not reactive. I can't stress that enough. Proactive manner. Responsible growth requires proper planning, including development, project, and operational planning. In the last decade, the city's long-range plans have ensured services continue to be provided to all citizens, businesses, visitors, and customers. For example, we have a continuous planning process including the comprehensive plan, future land use plan, capital improvements plan, capital outlay plan, personnel improvement plan, parks master plan, water model and drainage master plan, wastewater master plan, transportation master plan, street master plan, and a cemetery master plan. What did all that? I said that 11 times. Plans, plan. It's so important in what we do as a city. All of these plans solicit public participation in the preparation and approval process and are available on the city's website. Water supply in Copperas Cove and the region has been the focus of many discussions with City Council, news media, and social media. We will discuss water supply, but I want you to know we accomplished the first phase of a vital water resiliency project. The 20-inch water line between Killeen and Copperas Cove, installed sometime in the 1990s, was riddled with leaks, and many portions of the water line were inaccessible due to the railroad and security concerns on Fort Cavazos. Half of this 20-inch water line has now been relocated to fully accessible areas and increased to a 24-inch pipe. This half of the project was an investment of $10.6 million. The remaining half of the project is planned to begin in 2025 with an estimated cost of $13 million. This project will increase the volume and the reliability of water transported to our community. We are still experiencing a drought, which Ryan will share more about later. While we remain vigilant concerning water supply, City Council has authorized the planning for expansion of the treated water supply by an additional 7 million gallons of water per day. This project will ensure our treated water supply will be sufficient for current and future customers through 2055. The impact to customers for this expansion of our water resource is currently estimated at $6 monthly per account, and construction is planned to begin within the next 12 months with completion around 2028. Traffic in Copperas Cove is also increasing with our population growth. There are major roadway projects we completed in the last year and have planned in the next couple of years, which are beyond the annual maintenance improvements we began 4 years ago. The Veterans Avenue Sidewalk Project replaced the broken, uneven, and narrow sidewalk from South 5th Street next to Fairview Jewell Elementary School up to South 31st Street. This important safety project started in September 2022 and was completed in December 2023. This $500,000 project installed a new ADA accessible 5-foot sidewalk that is heavily used by students and their families walking to and from school. The reconstruction of Constitution Drive began in June 2023 and is expected to be completed in the summer of this year. This $2.2 million project replaces the asphalt roadway surface with a concrete roadway from Business US 190 to Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. This highly traveled road has been the source of community complaints for over a decade due to its rough surface. Once complete, Constitution Drive will be a smooth road for daily drivers, will withstand commercial truck traffic to encourage economic growth, and will last for substantially longer than a regular asphalt road with minimal maintenance. The interchange from State Highway 9 to Business 190 will provide residents on the north side of Copperas Cove easier access to retail and commercial businesses along US 190. This interchange will reduce congestion traveling south through downtown and across the railroad tracks and enhance retail sales within our own community. The $2.1 million project design began in early 2023 and will be bid out by the Texas Department of Transportation next month. Construction is expected to begin in the fall of 2024. I'm also happy to report the city is jointly working with TxDOT on improvements to US Highway 190 to expand the current 2-lane highway with an additional 2-lane roadway separated from the existing lanes. Once constructed, this portion of US 190 will eventually be designated as I-14. 6 new bridges will be constructed, which will include an overpass on Farm to Market Road 2657. The city has relocated utilities to accommodate the project's design, and a private developer completed extension of utilities to facilitate economic development south of US 190. TxDOT plans to let or bid this fully designed project in 2025 or sooner, and is currently designing the next phase of the expansion of I-14 west of Copperas Cove. The state of Texas and the Federal Highway Administration are investing $114.6 million for the I-14 expansion project. These water and transportation projects are and will improve basic services in Copperas Cove. Now, let's review some of the quality of life projects and services accomplished last year. In 2021, Copperas Cove voters approved a bond in the amount of $4 million to construct a new animal shelter. City Council issued an additional $1.2 million for building and equipment to finish out the shelter and comply with state law mandates. The new animal control facility will almost double the number of animals we could shelter from 59 to 106. Located on FM 1113 next to Fire Station number 2, just down the street. Construction started in November 2023, and we expect completion by the end of 2024. Within our park system, several new amenities have been developed and are enjoyed by many residents. The Raising Cane's Dog Park, completed in January 2023, is a key social location for dogs and their owners. In the afternoons and weekends, the 1.5-acre Raising Cane's Dog Park is a hub of activity within City Park. Thank you again to Raising Cane's for choosing Copperas Cove to be your first sponsored dog park in the state of Texas. And congratulations for your recent one-year anniversary of the Raising Cane's Dog Park. For decades, we have received complaints about the condition of restrooms at City Park. In April 2023, the First Flush event opened 5 new restroom facilities in City Park. Over 100,000 people use City Park every year, and these restrooms are a necessary amenity, especially during sporting and special events. During the recreational sports seasons, such as soccer, baseball, and softball, our children and adult leagues now have safer playing environments with proper and safe sports field lighting. City Council has allocated sufficient funding over the past few years and this year to complete replacement of all aged and unrepairable lighting for fields 1 through 7, and will add lighting to field 9. The Civic Center includes new entry foyer and updated exterior lighting and paint, improving events and services at the Civic Center. And right now, you are experiencing the upgraded audio and video systems to benefit numerous future events. Exterior aesthetic improvements to the Civic Center are also coming in the near future. One of the questions we started with relating to population growth was, is crime going to increase? I'm proud to say that the Copperas Cove Police Department and Fire Department are the most responsive departments in our region. One way to test and demonstrate the effective and efficient delivery of police services is to be tested by the Texas Police Chiefs Association. Officially presented to City Council in January 2023, the Copperas Cove Police Department became the 189th police department in Texas to be accredited through the Law Enforcement Accreditation Program. Residents should have peace of mind knowing that when you call 911 for the police department or fire department, our public safety officers will respond. Lastly, let's focus on economic growth. Copperas Cove has streamlined and improved developer regulations over the last several years. The latest regulation updated in Copperas Cove are land use regulation known as the zoning ordinance. In 2020, City Council established the Zoning Ordinance Review Committee and appointed interested members interested members of the development community to work with city staff and a consultant from 2021 to 2023 to update the aged zoning ordinance. It was an arduous process. They went through line by line to make sure that we had the very best ordinance that could possibly be done. In October 2023, City Council adopted the new zoning ordinance as recommendation of the committee, Planning and Zoning Commission, and city staff. Thank you to our volunteers on the committee and city staff for your dedicated efforts to complete the zoning ordinance. These new regulations modernize the zoning categories and language for business sector growth, relaxes parking requirements, and encourages landscaping. Economic growth and community services is also achieved through our valued regional partnerships. The City of Copperas Cove works in a supportive role with the Copperas Cove Economic Development Corporation to encourage primary job opportunities through locating corporations in Copperas Cove. The Copperas Cove EDC also created quarterly Shop Cove pop-up markets, coordinated Hired Cove events for local employers, and initiated a marketing strategy to encourage additional retailers to Copperas Cove. The Copperas Cove Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau is another city partner. The Chamber has undergone a transformative modernization with new leadership while reconnecting with members in the city. Their future Innovative Business Zone program will focus on providing members with focused, personalized support services, thereby improving the business environment in Copperas Cove. Our partnerships with Copperas Cove ISD, Lampasas ISD, Central Texas College, and Texas A&M Central Texas has been vital to our education success of our students and region career goals. These educational institutions have developed innovative educational tools and business training opportunities. I would also like to express our appreciation for the partnerships we have with Coryell, Lampasas, and Bell counties. We are grateful for these and the numerous other great organizations that benefit our community. In closing, the City of Copperas Cove continues to focus on improving life, services, and infrastructure within our great city. Thank you for attending the 2024 State of the City. At this time, I invite City Manager Ryan Haverlaw to share other city-focused accomplishments, opportunities, and challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Yancey, and I thank you for attending. Before we go much further, I want to say thank you to a great number of people and recognize the number of people that are here this evening. Of course, Mayor Yancey is here, but many of your city council members are here as well. We have Councilmember Alzona. If you can raise your hand, sir, appreciate it. Councilmember Hart. Councilmember Chavez. Councilmember Hell back there. We have Councilmember Smith. I saw him over here. Where'd he go? Oh, he's hiding back here by the EDC table. And Councilmember Cortland is not here this evening. She's actually engaged in a community event in another part of town. So she is still serving this community, even though she's not here. We have a number of individuals who have put in hours and hours, and I would probably say hundreds of hours in order to make this event what it is. And so those individuals with a blue shirt that say City of Copperas Cove, if you can stand up and raise your hand, we would like to say thank you to you. Miss Beth, oh, did I say blue? Oh, thank you for correcting me. Black shirts, yes. Thank you, Nancy. So it's these individuals who have put in all the time to make this event happen. I also want to say a great big thank you to our IT team, who is not only making all the audio and the video work, but They have taken the last, 2 weeks to make all this happen with new installation of equipment. So as Mayor Yancey said, everything that you are experiencing from an audio and video standpoint is brand new and will benefit our residents and the organizations that utilize this facility for many years to come. So thank you, IT. Lastly, this is a public relations type of event. So our very own public relations director, Mr. Kevin Keller, had huge amounts of effort to coordinate all of the processes of our State of the City. So thank you, Mr. Kevin, as well. So I just want to share a few things that the city has accomplished, and then we've got some challenges coming up that I want to talk with you about as well, and let you know what we are doing to plan towards those. But one of the first things that always is talked about with local government is the financial impact to our residents. And so with the city council in this past year in the summer, so we start our budgeting process now, we go all the way through to the beginning of the summer. In August, when city council adopts the budget and sets the tax rate, which is what we are very focused on many times. But city council actually reduced the tax rate this past year for this current fiscal year by 7%, from just over 72 cents to just over 67 cents. So they have reduced that tax rate over this past year. The annual audit is also a third-party regulatory check of any organization. And we have passed not only our audit over the past 13 plus years with almost no comments, but this year, not only did we pass our annual audit of just ensuring that our financial transactions are conducted with an integrity at the focus, but also the reports that are done, our annual grants that we receive also were audited this past year. And we received a stellar report of ensuring that we are following all grant guidelines and federal and state requirements with all of that money. Yes, it's great. So some of the focuses that we have from a financial standpoint, as I said, we're moving into the budget process. Again, this past year was one of the first years that City Council has adopted a truly balanced budget where current revenues actually match current expenditures. That has not been done for over a decade, and City Council accomplished that this past year. That is our focus again this next year as we work on the budget. Significant capital projects have also been planned. In the past several years, City Council has focused on keeping capital projects to about $10 million or less every year. And that was the financial position that we were in. This next year, and I encourage you to follow that budget process, City Council is going to be looking at projects that average $30 million over the next 5 years. Most of those are public works projects, water, sewer, streets, and waste and drainage projects. Everything that we expect as a city to be done, just the basic services. So City Council is looking at doing that. One of the ways that they're looking at doing that is they adopted a new utility rate study, which came out with reasonable rate adjustments. I encourage you to look at that study because it impacts us for the next 5 years as residents and customers of our utility system. But it will also ensure that all of our basic services, again, water, wastewater, streets, and drainage, will be taken care of in the future so that we get those basic services. And I just want to say a huge thank you to our finance and our budget department because they're the ones that manage all of this. Quite honestly, if you don't know this, City Council grades me or judges me or evaluates me annually. Over 70% of my responsibility is all financial. And without the finance and budget team that I rely on being as stellar as they are, our organization in our city would not be in the financial position, which is a positive and a position that we can look forward and plan for future growth and ensure that all these transactions are done with integrity and honesty, ethical behavior. And that's what we focus on within our city. So the mayor talked a lot about growth, and one of the first departments that a new development talks to is our Development Services Department. And they're over here at this table. If y'all can raise your hand, I'd appreciate it. If y'all have any questions about development, go over there and talk to them after we're done, because they can answer the questions. Why are we allowing the next Dollar General in town? Why are we allowing the next chicken restaurant in town? Why are we allowing the next car wash? Y'all got it. I am so proud of y'all. Y'all are awesome. Yeah, so they're going to be able to talk to you and tell you why those businesses are coming to town and why they're locating in the places they're locating in. Our Economic Development Corporation, which has a table right behind us, if you have questions about what businesses are being considered to come to town, because those businesses are the ones making those decisions, go talk to our EDC and talk to them about what they are doing to encourage businesses to come into town. As Mayor Yancey said, they have a new marketing effort where they are actually marketing to new retailers. What do we need on the west side and the north side of town? A grocery store. Man, y'all are on it. I'm impressed. Y'all are doing great. So again, those two tables, they really touch those new developments coming on. Our building department, they have held a number of builder summits over this past year, where they actually sit down, they talk with the developers and builders to ensure that what we are doing as a city is helping them accomplish their job quicker. Because to a private entity, time is money. And so if we as a city, which are the regulatory agency in town, are delaying them, they're losing money. And when they lose money, prices go up. That's what happens. And so we are working with them. We're communicating with them. One of the ways we're communicating better is not only that builder summit, but we have now issued them some cell phones at the request of builders and at the approval of city council for the budget so that we can communicate better. They're doing a great job managing the large number of permits that flow through their office that we have to review, approve, and then eventually inspect. And many times we hear that that department issues red tags, which means they can't continue work until they fix something because we want to make money. Guess what? We don't make much money on that. And I know that we cost builders and private entities money. So we want to get them green tags. So now we have a new communication tool to work with. My Government Online is another great accomplishment that they've proceeded with this past year, because now not only can builders do it on their computer, but they can get their cell phone out and they can do it on their cell phone, as well as you as residents. Because when you need a permit to build a fence, to put in a new hot water heater, now you can do that work. If you are a DIYer, you can do that all on your cell phone, coordinate with that department, and accomplish what you need at your own homes and sometimes businesses. Our public safety departments, I want to brag on them for a little bit with the things that they have accomplished. And we're going to start with our fire department first. Fire department is continually training. The reason they continually train is because when you and I call 911, we want them there then. And not only do we want them there at that moment, but we want to ensure that the service that they are providing to us, especially from a medical standpoint, and if we have a true emergency, such as a car accident or a fire, because they are the fire department, we want them to accomplish their job quickly and safely. And so they have implemented a new forced entry training system so that if they do have to get into a house, they are trained to do it quickly and safely, because we've had quite a few home fires over the last several years. And the greater that they are trained, the quicker they are to save lives and property values. Thank you to our fire department, who's also working and has accomplished a completely new radio system for all of our public safety departments and our public works departments and the parks department. So we are required to go to a new radio system. So not only can we communicate with each other, but we can communicate regionally in the event that there is a larger disaster or emergency we have to communicate with. Because we have grown, as Mayor Yancey has said, we have had areas in town that our public safety departments could not communicate with their colleagues or other departments on their radio. They couldn't communicate because we have grown. There are buildings that they could go into that they would have no communication, and that is a safety concern. We now have a new radio system that is up and running, and it penetrates buildings appropriately within federal guidelines so that we can communicate with our public safety officers in those areas, but also with our public works and our parks departments to ensure that they are providing excellent customer service to our customers. Fire department, because again, we're growing, we have some capital projects that they're working on. Fire Station 3 on the west side of town, it's a little house, and we have 2 people over there in that little fire station. We have a project we're working on right now to expand that fire station to add additional personnel so that they can provide service to the growing area on the west side of town. City Council has also authorized, and you as voters have approved a bond for us to build a new fire station in town. It's called Fire Station 4. With that funding, we purchased a building along Business 190 on the east side of town to provide service on the east side of town. There's not a fire station over there. The closest fire station is Central Fire Station right now. But we have had so much growth on the east side of town, the City Council has had the foresight to ensure that we have a building location to put the 4th fire station in. That is going to provide great service to especially our residents and commercial areas, which are really on that east side of town. The police department has implemented a number of things that coordinate with the fire department as well. ProQA is a software that our dispatch service is using so that when we receive an emergency medical call to 911, they have a program that is updated regularly, approved by our medical professionals that oversee the fire department, so that when dispatchers receive that call that we are having a medical emergency, not only do they dispatch the ambulances right away, but then they start asking us questions on the call. How do we feel? What do I feel? What areas hurt or are in pain? And we have a medical protocol that now our dispatchers are using not only to give to the EMTs and paramedics headed to your emergency, but they can actually give you first aid advice before that EMT and paramedic get to you to begin helping you immediately over the phone. They've also implemented or have been doing Christmas in Cove. Anybody heard of Christmas in Cove that the police department has been involved in? It's fairly new. Christmas in Cove is a new program that the police department kind of morphed into this past year. On Christmas Eve, the police department used to go and hand out candy canes to kids throughout the community. Well, this past year, we have increased that effort. We have now partnered with Synergy Cinemas, Cove Santa Toy Drive, organized by Lynette Sow, CCH, Copperas Cove High School, Project Christmas, Sean Camp Insurance, and numerous anonymous citizens to buy Christmas gifts for kids aged anywhere from 0 to 15. Here's the great thing about that. Lieutenant Crystal Baker, she's the one who has organized this a lot this past year, but it provided a benefit to 200 to 250 children this past year. That's worth clapping for. Yeah. So December 23rd this past year, Crystal Baker, Lieutenant Baker, and a number of other employees from the police department and other officers, they went throughout the entire community. Blessed 200 to 250 children with gifts, and Santa and Mrs. Claus went along with them. How special is that for those children? Amazing, amazing. The police department is also going to be focusing on a couple of new programs. One is called ABLE, and it stands for Active Bystander for Law Enforcement Project. The focus of that project is to ensure that not only are our law enforcement officers providing excellent service, but they're being held accountable for the actions that they provide. Our entire police department will go through a process for that ABLE program to learn how to provide accountable law enforcement services through our city. It is a program that requires high standards of our police department. And as you saw, we are now an accredited department, which is another step in the direction of being accountable to our residents. Over the past many years, our law enforcement officers throughout the nation have been criticized very heavily. Some rightfully so, some unrightfully so. In Copperas Cove, as the mayor said, we are approaching this from a proactive standpoint to ensure that we are providing accountable service to our residents. They're also implementing a new level of the alert system, and it's an advanced law enforcement rapid response training. So we have provided a number of in-service active shooter training throughout our community. And we have done it at levels 1 and 2 throughout the community. There's another level. And our entire department is going to go through that level for active shooting events. And as we've seen on the news nationwide, those events, unfortunately, are not slowing down. They're continuing. So again, very proactively, our police department is looking at ensuring that our entire department is prepared and ready for those events to respond rapidly. Our animal control department, have y'all seen the new construction down the road by Fire Station 2? If you haven't, go down there and see it. New fire station, animal control department is going to be built out there. We will more than double the amount of service that we can provide. And even without that new facility, we've had some pretty amazing public relations with our animal control department. They've gone nationwide with the service they provide. Recently, there was a dog, and I'm going to probably get this wrong, so Chief, you can correct me if I get it wrong, but Mr. Snuffleupagus. There we go. I told you I was going to mess that up. Our animal control department ended up rescuing a pit. And in our animal control department, we really tried to send those pits out to rescue organizations because they have a bad reputation, quite honestly, that dog breed. Is it rightfully so? I don't know. But we worked with an out-of-state rescue organization to come and get Mr. Snuffleupagus, who is now in the adoption process to eventually be adopted to a new home. And that is one example. That is one example of what our animal control department has done for hundreds of animals every year in trying to adopt them out. They'll be looking at a new foster to adopt program in the future where we as residents, we can actually foster a dog out of the animal control shelter, take care of that animal, give them a home until they're adopted out to a new home, permanent home. And that is a program that has been beneficial in other communities. Our animal control department is going to try and accomplish that. Community services. The library is an amazing department that provides great service to our children in the city. They have implemented a number of new programs, but one of their focuses this coming year is the renovation of their library for children, the children's library room. It has not been updated or renovated in many, many years, It's time to update it. It's time to provide it a fresh look and continue to provide great service to our children in our community. Parks and Recreation Department, Mayor Yancey talked a lot about some of the lights that went up, but new canopies have gone up over our playgrounds. It's hot in Texas. Well, okay, it was hot yesterday. It's freezing cold today. It's going to storm tomorrow. All kinds of things. But the canopies provide that protected area for children to play at our playgrounds. They will be focusing in the future on renovating some more of City Park. Right behind us, from where you're sitting, is the duck pond. It's the big pond right when you drive into City Park. That wall that's out there, the rock wall, we're going to remove that wall. There's an old rickety bridge that crosses the creek right before that pond. We're going to replace that bridge, put a walking trail around that pond, put another bridge on the other end. It will be a nice amenity to City Park. Just another focus as Mr. Stoddard, as the director, has incrementally worked with his team to provide our city a great park system. So thank you, Mr. Stoddard and your team, for doing that. One of the things that's not on here is the great recreation programs. Our recreation programs for our youth are getting to the max level for the fields that we have to provide service. But remember what Mayor Yancey said? We're a growing community. Those recreation programs are going to continue to grow. And we're going to have to eventually look at additional fields to accommodate the children who no longer want to be on their device and get outside. It's a great thing. It's some struggles, some opportunities we have in the future, though. And so as they continue to improve those recreation programs, we continue to grow, which continues to give us opportunities on how we continue to serve our community. KCCB is doing great things. The annual Eco Harvest event, usually held right here, correct, Ms. Flores? Yeah, usually held right here. It's going to be coming up again in the fall. And as we continue to work through that, we'll see that expand. Murals and public art is going to be a focus of KCCB. Drive down Avenue D, look to the west, right before you leave downtown, you'll see one of the newest murals in town. One. If you didn't know, we have several murals in town. I encourage you to look for those. But that recent mural is for the solar eclipse. Solar eclipse is coming up when? April 8th. It's right upon us. It's going to be a big event. Last night was our last public town hall meeting that we had for the solar eclipse. If you missed it, one, I'm sorry you missed it. If you haven't been to any of them, I'm very sorry you missed any of them. I encourage you to see some of the videos as we played right before we started the town hall. And we have a second one we'll play right after we're done as well, so you know what it is coming up and how to prepare for that solar eclipse. But here's the thing, don't panic, be prepared, buy the things you need to before the weekend, before the solar eclipse, so that if you don't want to go out, you don't get stuck. All right? There are going to be a lot of people here. Texas is one of the primary locations for people to observe the totality of that solar eclipse, which will last almost 4.5 minutes in Copperas Cove, which it's only 4.5 minutes. But it's an amazing event, and people will come here to view 4.5 minutes. And they're going to be here all over the place. I have so many more things to cover, but we have been talking for a while. And one of the things that we asked for this event to be was a town hall. So when you walked in, there were some cards that you could fill out a question. And I encouraged you that if you haven't filled out a question, to please fill out that question. And where are we taking those cards if they get filled out right now? Right back here to the table. And we will go through those, and we're going to try to answer as many of those questions as we can. It is already we're already 45 minutes into our State of the City, so we're going to kind of cut it off here. We want to stick around and talk with you. We have all of our amazing team members around the side over here to talk. We have some of our great community partners over here for you to talk with as well. I just want to say thank you to all of those community partners for being here. Our independent school districts that are in Copperas Cove, which is the Copperas Cove Independent School District and the Lampasas Independent School District. Great partners with us. Dr. Burns, thank you for being here as well. Fort Cavazos is a great partner. We're right next to it. Whether we want to be associated with them or not, and I hear that a lot, we are. And we should capitalize on that relationship. And many of our other regional partners all the way to the east, north, and to the west of us. And I didn't say to the south because south of us is the state capital, and we have an interesting relationship with our state elected officials. We continue to work on those relationships. We do value them because they impact us and you every single day. With that, I'm actually going to turn it over to, how do you want me to address you, sir?
Doug Reynolds.
Doug Reynolds, who is our famous Copperas Cove News Network, and we recently received a question. Do we really have the Copperas Cove News Network? And here's the official answer. We do for 3 episodes. So Mr. Doug Reynolds, if you can come up and ask us some of the questions that you got.
Good evening, Copperas Cove. I'm Doug Reynolds. Glad to be here. I want to have my that's a hard name, cohort. That was almost a bad thing to say.
Yeah, it didn't come out very good.
It didn't come out well. We do not comment on her home life. Come on in, Lisa. All right, so we're going to go back and forth with the questions, and there will be some department heads that will need to stand up and help us out with these. So I'll start with this one. All right. I won't be reading the names of the people. I can give them names if you'd like me to. All right, here's question number 1. Last year, the city council was briefed on the state of repair of the city streets and the shortfall of funds to get them all repaired and maintained. What is the current status?
Doug, that is a great question, and I appreciate that. I'm going to invite our Public Works Director, Mr. Scott Osborne, up here while I provide a brief discussion on that. Last year, City Council authorized, actually it was 2 years ago, City Council authorized us to engage in a utility rate study. That utility rate study looked at water, wastewater, drainage, and solid waste rates. In addition, it also looked at a transportation utility fee to present to City Council to consider also. Beyond or before that transportation utility fee is considered, you as voters actually approved 1/8 of a cent to go towards street maintenance many years ago. You reaffirmed that 1/8 of a cent a couple of years ago and then expanded it from 1/8 of a cent to 1/4 of a cent to all go towards street maintenance. And all of that funding is only used for street maintenance as required by state law. So, Mr. Osborne, you want to talk about some of the improvements that have been done in the transportation utility fee status?
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Once again, my name's Scott Osborne. I'm the Director of Public Works. Mr. Haverloss really set up the foundation of how we're approaching this, and the mayor reiterated that earlier about really a proactive planning, assessment of how do we take care of our roads. If y'all have been heard, basically back in 2021, 2022, we completed the city's first overall pavement condition assessment. What that assessment basically did, we had a professional group go throughout the town and physically rate every single roadway within the city and under the city's responsibility. They rated these roadways on a scale of 0 to 100, 100 being a brand new road down to about 40. A grade of 40 means that road has failed. With roadways, they get worse every year unless there's proper maintenance. Unfortunately, our roadways have not seen significant maintenance for, a couple decades, and really that's really the funding aspect of that. With that being said, we completed that assessment. At that point, we had a budget in the street maintenance crew of approximately $1 million per year. About half of that was utilized or utilized for our crews, right, with salaries, benefits, equipment, basically go out there and do the limited type of preventive maintenance that we could do. That would include crack sealing, various smaller slurry seals, reconditioning some of the roadways, fixing potholes, etc. The assessment showed that for us to actually raise the condition of our roads throughout the city, we would need over $4.7 million in 2021 dollars to actually start increasing the level of that quality of roadways. So with that, obviously, we have a challenge between what the annual budget is of $1 million and that $4.7 million. So following that assessment, city staff used the results of that assessment to really start focusing in on roadways that could be cheaply maintained through a crack seal to maintain that so it wouldn't degrade further. We continue to do that based on the budget that we have. And going forward, we started looking at grouping neighborhoods into potential capital improvement projects, which goes through our capital improvement plan. Meanwhile, as Mr. Haverlaw stated, we started looking at a transportation utility fee. Where does the additional funding come from so we can actually start making a real dent in the condition of our roadways, ranging from doing mill and overlays, more significant reconstruction to bring this level back up. Once we get it back up to probably an average grade of about 70 throughout the city, it becomes cheaper to maintain because a better road is easier to maintain and cheaper to maintain than one that has failed, which quite frankly is about 10 times more expensive than going out there and doing a slurry seal. So we are currently still looking at implementing or proposing to council that we move forward and look at a potential transportation utility fee to catch up with the decades of deferred maintenance on those roadways.
Thank you. So, I apologize. We can definitely talk afterwards because we only have so much time and we have so many questions over there. So we'll come talk to you, absolutely.
But please feel free. I'm right back here on this table. Come see me. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne.
And isn't he styling with that boot? That's awesome.
That's no Scooter Scotty.
Yeah, no, no Scooter Scotty. And maybe one day he can afford the other one. Thank you, Scott. Just real quick, before we go on, if we don't get to your questions, there are people at all these individual tables from each of the departments that will be able to answer your question. We have the police department, we have development, we have Parts and Rec, we have fire department, we have public works, the EDC, the chamber is right over here, and Keep Copperas Cove Beautiful, and we have IT. So all of these people are, and please, now just remember, they're going to ask you, did you turn it on and off again? That's all they're going to do.
Okay, the next question is, what is the status of the Allen House?
Good question. And I'm not sure exactly what that question means. We'll talk about a few statuses of the Allen House. The Allen House, if those who are not familiar with it, is a historical site in Copperas Cove. It is the first, if I remember right, the first mayor's residence first Copperas Cove mayor's residence in Copperas Cove. And so the city acquired that building many, many years ago, and it was used to be a facility that we provided or hosted public events in. Many years ago, we stopped doing those events, and it was closed to public use. After it was closed to public use, the maintenance of that historic site decreased. A couple of years ago, the Historical Society in Copperas Cove came together and they approached the city and said, we would like to take that building and operate out of it. So we've had a number of discussions with the Copperas Cove Historical Society about utilizing that building. We are now moving towards a potential lease with the Copperas Cove Historical Society to not only lease that building and operate out of it, but begin to improve it as well, which the city would have to be a partner in because it would still remain a city property. So beyond that, that's the current status of the Allen House. Well, I guess I will say this. It is in
Disrepair.
not disrepair, but in bad repair, in need of great repair. I'll put it in those terms. And that's one of the parts of the partnership with the Copperas Cove Historical Society, that we will work with them to help bring that Allen House back up to a functional and safe use again.
Thank you, Ryan. It's a good answer.
Good, sir.
Stick around. There will be the performing the entertainment section of our pageant, and Ryan is going to be changing soon for the evening gown portion of that.
I was not informed of that, Doug.
We've got a million of them. We're ready. All right. Here's another question. This is a good question. It's about infrastructure. Are we doing all we can to ensure our water rights are secured for the future? Very important, as others are working together, working to get all they can from Lake Belton and Stillhouse all the way from San Antonio. Yeah, you should just sit up here.
Well, and Doug, I guess before Mr. Osborne takes a stab at that, Mayor, the council has taken some action in the past. You want to kind of share what some of that action is?
And I reiterated that in my talk, but we recently had the opportunity to increase our water capacity. And we could go anywhere from 0 to 10 million gallons per day, increase it. And we did our own internal study and came back, and the most cost-effective number was $7 million, or 7 million gallons per day. And so we have entered into agreement with WCID, number one, to basically increase our capacity, which will allow population growth and take care of everything that we are looking at through 2055. Water is the new oil in Texas, and those water rights are absolutely precious, and we are doing everything that we possibly can to ensure that we as a city are taken care of, not only now but for in the future. Somebody way back when, several decades ago, did that for us today. It's our turn to be good stewards for the future. So that's where we are.
So, Mr. Osborne, can you fill us in on some of the studies we've accomplished and what we're moving forward with as well?
Absolutely. Thank you once again, and thank you for this question. Water supply is absolutely critical to any community. It's becoming more and more scarce. The city receives all its treated water through the Belton Water Treatment Plant that's owned and operated by Bell County WCID number 1. As Mr. Haverlaw and the mayor stated, there's really a lot of different variables that go into ensuring a long-term water supply to allow not only to continue to provide service for the existing community, but also to project into the future and accommodate that future growth that is coming, whether we all like it or not. It's, it's here. It's in Texas. I forget the number, but I believe it's about 1,200 people a day come to Texas to live. That's every day, 365 days a year. As the mayor stated early on in his presentation, we've increased approximately 1,000, people over the course of the last year. That'll continue to happen, so it's critical for us, the city, to really accommodate for that and plan for that. As part of that, we're really looking from a water supply perspective. The city does not have water rights per se. What we have are contractual rights to water that originally are allocated by the Brazos River Authority to WCID, and we contract with WCID to provide that capacity. There's two components to that capacity. There's the raw water side, which currently the city has about 9,000 acre feet of raw water. That raw water then goes into a treatment plant to be treated. That's called treatment capacity. What the mayor just mentioned is we had an opportunity now to secure additional treated water capacity. We have this opportunity now before Stillhouse plant over on Stillhouse Lake is fully, that area is built out. We wouldn't have that opportunity. So really it's a now or never type thing. And that project basically consists of taking down part of Belton plant and expanding that and basically providing that additional treatment water or treated water capacity. So you have your raw water side, you have your treated water side. Both of those need to match up, and they also need to basically make it to our town and be distributed throughout the city. There's a lot of capacity requirements on pumping and storage, everything within the city system that makes all that work. So when we turn on that faucet in the morning, we actually get that water to our homes. With that said, we periodically go through our master planning process. We recently updated our water model, excuse me, which is basically a model of our entire system. It identifies where are improvements needed in the storage area, in the pumping area, in the capacity area to accommodate for this growth. It's a pretty good study. I'd encourage you all to reach out, get a copy of that, and take a look at it. I know that's a lot of information, but it takes a lot to get water from Belton here and also to project out into the future.
Yeah. Go ahead. You're done.
Okay, just to kind of sum it up, with the additional 7 million gallons in treatment capacity, we should be sufficient through 2050 on the treated water side. The city's currently looking at the raw water side because right now we have 9,000 acre feet. That'll push us out to about 2042. That's only about a little less than 20 years away. We need additional raw water as well. So that's what we're exploring at this point.
Yeah, and if I can, I think that question probably alludes to some of the rumors that have been going around. Some of those rumors are that Georgetown is buying our water and taking our water. Georgetown is not taking our water. Georgetown is not buying our water. Georgetown, just like Copperas Cove, has to secure their own raw water contracts and treated water supply as well, just like we do. And they're looking at all of their options as well. There was a recent rumor in the last several years that Walt Disney World is coming and they're going to buy everything, and we're going to have nothing. Whether they come or not, we have our contractual rights, and those are secured. Exactly what Mr. Osborne said is that we have to focus on additional raw water supply, which we are definitely doing, and we are working regionally to try and secure that additional water supply. It is a long-range effort, long-term effort, and as Mayor Yancey said, or alluded to, water is not cheap, and we as customers know what we pay, and we also know what customers just to our west are paying for just water as well. and it's much greater than what we pay. So we as a community, as Mayor Yancey said, we're looking for the future generation because we need to plan for that future generation that will be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next question is, will the city be willing to hold a Renaissance fair at the Copperas Cove City Park area?
Wow, what a great question. So Miss Lisa Anderson is here with us, and she's going to change into Miss Ashley Wilson. Miss Ashley Wilson is our administrative assistant and special events coordinator within our Parks and Recreation Department. So she is perfect for the person who's going to answer this.
I set myself up. Okay, so anybody that is wanting to hold any kind of event inside City Park, at any of our parks, they are more than willing to do so. You would just have to actually get with me. We would set up an agreement for you to hold that event. So anything that you would, if you want to hold a Renaissance fair, get with any kind of organization. They can, fund it, help you kind of do a nonprofit, but it would actually be up to you or the organization to hold something. We do hold events. The chamber holds events as well inside the city park, so it's just kind of up to the organization themselves. But if you want to hold a Renaissance fair, just get with me. We can get together. We can figure out a plan and get an agreement put together.
Thank you.
Go. Back to Lisa Anderson.
That answer brought tears to my eyes. We have another question. This is going a different direction. What can citizens do to encourage businesses such as restaurants, entertainment, activities, and events to come to Copperas Cove?
That is another great question. I'm going to invite our Economic Development Director, Mr. Fred Welch, up here, and I'm actually going to invite wow, look at that. Got some cheering back there. I'm also going to invite our president with our Chamber of Commerce to come up here because they have a business engagement in that. And I'm going to answer from a very uneconomic standpoint, and I'm going to turn it over to y'all to answer from a more professional standpoint maybe. But as somebody who's now been in our community for well over a decade, here's what I will say for that encouragement. When businesses come to town, patronize those businesses. Yes. Go to those businesses.
Shop local.
I have seen many businesses come and go. And I've been to those businesses, patronized them, and then they go. And I've asked some of them, why is business not great? People just aren't coming anymore. So that's my uneconomic development answer. So Mr. Welch, Ms. Beth Carney, Gaelic.
That's a great answer. Thank you for the question. No, seriously, there's a number of things, but I think when we get businesses trying to make decisions, we all have an opinion of what we'd like to have in our community and where it should be. We are also having to kind of balance that with the realities of what we have in terms of population and growth. I will say that we are at a tipping point, but the idea of shop at home, shop local is extremely important. Support your local businesses as much as possible because that story resonates when someone comes to town. All too often when they come into my door at the Economic Development Corporation, if they've already been in town, they've probably talked to some of those businesses and may have come and went, okay? And the question is, what can you do to make sure that, why should I invest money here? Well, you have to be welcoming, you have to be open, and you have to be willing to sometimes take a chance. So I would say that's the thing there. Our partner here with the Chamber, we're also, I think, putting together some roundtables, some business discussion groups, and maybe, Beth, you could work to that a little bit. Well, it's Sean's fault, but you can do it. But okay. No, go ahead, just talk to it. Yeah.
First thing I want to say is it's especially important what Ryan said. A lot of people will say, hey, how come we don't have this in town? How come we don't have that in town? It's very, very expensive to start a business. And it's someone's dream It's someone's hope and their livelihood. And if we don't support them as a community, they're not going to be able to survive. We have mainly small businesses in Copperas Cove, so supporting them, even if you can't support them financially, you can come to their ribbon cuttings, you can come to their events, you can share their posts on Facebook, you can do all those things that are free to support them and make them feel welcome. And I think when we create that kind of environment in Copperas Cove where business feel welcome in the community, it will make people want to start opening more businesses here. So I just want to say that's really, really important. It's just supporting them. Sean, who's amazing, by the way, back there, is starting some roundtables with local businesses so that we can sit down with them, find out the support that they need. They can share ideas with each other, kind of bounce problem-solving things. You can come on over, Sean. This is Sean's baby, so I don't want to steal his limelight.
He's got a blue shirt, but he's still good.
Yes, he's great. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. For those who don't know me, I'm Sean Stevens. I'm the new Senior Director for Business Retention and Expansion at the Economic Development Corporation. I'm one of the new residents here in town. I've been here about 4 months, so I'm excited to be here. So starting next month, April 15th, we're launching the local restaurant business roundtables. This is going to be an industry roundtable to get restaurateurs around a table to talk to each other, talk about issues, concerns, problems they're having, kind of help each other with different issues around. And maybe one restaurant's having some sort of issue and somebody else can say, hey, we just went through that, this is how we solved it. That's our idea. We're kind of working out, they'll probably meet like quarterly or so. We'll kind of see how it evolves. My vision on it is to, once we get this one started, to kind of go into another industry and kind of do the same idea with maybe retailers or service providers or some sort of other business. So if you're a restaurateur in the audience, I've got flyers in the back table there. April 15th at 2 o'clock at the EDC office. Thank you.
As I say, that's the beginning.
That was a really good answer. Ladies and gentlemen, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, if any of you want to patronize any eating establishment, just please call me. I like to eat and I'll be there. I will sacrifice for the city. I'm a giver. That's what I do. I'm a giver. We've gotten to the point where we want to give you some time to walk around, mingle, hit the different tables, talk to the different departments, and ask some questions. Those of you whose questions were not answered, tough luck. No, I'm kidding. We are going to answer your questions. We'll reach out to you and talk to you about it. For those of you who didn't put a contact, if you can come up and either give it to me or I can direct you to who to go talk to, that would be the best. And so on behalf of everyone in the city, and my compatriot here, Lisa Anderson, we'd just like to say, stay stellar, Copperas Cove.
Yeah.
And if there's a Mel Edwards, if you could come talk to me real quick. Mel Edwards, you had a question, and I want to help you out. Thank you.
We're going to conclude, but I want to let everybody know something that I think you're beginning to get a sense of. We here in Copperas Cove are extremely fortunate to be in an area that has incredible economic opportunities. We also, and I can't say it enough, I lost my chair. We have a great staff and a great city manager, and we are very lucky to have Ryan as our city manager, and he's vested in this community. He wants to see it succeed. This is not a way station for him, and we all benefit by working together to make a better and greater city. Thank you.
So that concludes the State of the City. Thank you for coming. by all means, please stay and mingle, and please eat the food.